What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the series we all know and love by now, Motivational Monday. So today we're watching a video of Rick Rigsby giving a speech, I believe in a university at the graduation, about his father's teaching that's guided him through like parts of his life and so forth. It's a really, really good video, really good speech. It's about 10 minutes long in full. We've got about 6 minute bit of it in here. Genuinely suggest watching the full clip. If a few times, if anything. There's so much in it. But yeah, we'll watch that now. So, see you in a second.
My father taught himself how to read, taught himself how to write, decided in the midst of Jim Crowism, as America was breathing the last gasp of the Civil War, my father decided he was going to stand and be a man. Not a black man, not a brown man, not a white man, but a man. He literally challenged himself to be the best that he could all the days of his life. I have 4 degrees. My brother is a judge. We're not the smartest ones in our family. It's a 3rd grade dropout daddy. A 3rd grade dropout daddy who was quoting Michelangelo, saying to us, boys, I won't have a problem if you aim high and miss, but I'm gonna have a real issue if you aim low and hit. A country mother quoting Henry Ford, saying if you think you can or if you think you can't, you're right. I learned that from a 3rd grade drop. Simple lessons. Lessons like these. Son, you'd rather be an hour early than a minute late. We never knew what time it was at my house because the clocks were always ahead. My mother said for nearly 30 years my father left the house at 3:45 in the morning. One day she asked him, why, Daddy? He said, maybe one of my boys will catch me in the act of excellence. I want to share 2 things with you. Aristotle said, you are what you repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence ought to be a habit, not an act. Don't ever forget that. I know you're tough, but always remember to be kind. Always. Don't ever forget that. Never embarrass mama. Yeah. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. If daddy ain't happy, don't nobody care. But you know, I'm trying to tell you. Next lesson. Lesson from a cook over there in the galley. Son, make sure your servant's towel is bigger than your ego. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Y'all might have a relative in mind you want to send that to. Let me say it again. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Pride is the burden of a foolish person. John Wooden coached basketball at UCLA for a living, but his calling was to impact people. And with all those national championships, guess what he was found doing in the middle of the week? Going into the cupboard, grabbing a broom, and sweeping his own gym floor. You want to make an impact? Find your broom. Every day of your life, you find your broom. You grow your influence that way. That way you're attracting people so that you can impact them. Final lesson. Son, if you're gonna do a job, do it right. I've always been told how average I can be. Always been criticized about being average. But I want to tell you something. I stand here before you, before all of these people, not listening to those words, but telling myself every single day to shoot for the stars, to be the best that I can be. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better, and better isn't good enough if it can be best. Let me close with a very personal story that I think will bring all this into focus. Wisdom will come to you in the unlikeliest of sources, a lot of times through failure. When you hit rock bottom, remember this. While you're struggling, rock bottom can also be a great foundation on which to build and on which to grow. I'm not worried that you'll be successful. I'm worried that you won't fail from time to time. The person that gets up off the canvas and keeps growing, that's the person that will continue to grow their influence. Back in the 70s, to help me make this point, let me introduce you to someone. I met the finest woman I'd ever met in my life. Back in my day, we'd have called her a brick house. We get married, we have a few children, our lives are great. One day, Trina finds a lump in her left breast. Breast cancer. 6 years after that diagnosis, me and my 2 little boys walked up to Mommy's casket. And for 2 years, my heart didn't beat. If it wasn't for my faith in God, I wouldn't be standing here today. If it wasn't for those 2 little boys there would have been no reason for which to go on. I was completely lost. That was rock bottom. You know what sustained me? The wisdom of a third grade dropout. The wisdom of a simple cook. We're at the casket. I'd never seen my dad cry. But this time I saw my dad cry. That was his daughter. Trina was his daughter, not his daughter-in-law. And I'm right behind my father, about to see her for the last time on this earth. And my father shared 3 words with me that changed my life right there at the casket. It would be the last lesson he would ever teach me. He said, "Son, just stand. You keep standing. You keep standing, no matter how rough the sea, you keep standing." And I'm not talking about just water. You keep standing. No matter what, you don't give up. And as clearly as I'm talking to you today, these were some of her last words to me. She looked me in the eye and she said, "It doesn't matter to me any longer how long I live. What matters to me most is how I live." I ask y'all one question, a question that I was asked all my life by a third grade dropout. How you living? How you living? Every day ask yourself that question, how you living? Here's what a cook would suggest you to live this way. That you would not judge, that you would show up early, that you'd be kind, that you'd make sure that that servant's towel is huge and used, that if you're gonna do something, you do it the right way. That cook would tell you this, that it's never wrong to do the right thing, that how you do anything is how you do everything. And in that way, you will grow your influence to make an impact. In that way, you will honor all those who have gone before you, who have invested in you. Look in those unlikeliest places for wisdom. Enhance your life every day by seeking that wisdom and asking yourself every night, how am I living? May God richly bless y'all. Thank you for having me.
Alright, so there's a few things I want to touch upon today. One of them being, well, the main one being being the best that you can be. It is pretty much relevantly the message to most of my videos in some sort of way, is to always be the best you can be throughout your day, every day of the week, non-stop. Because if you're being the best you can be, then you can't ask of yourself any more, and you can't be doing any more than you're already doing, because you're doing the best that you can do. Fact. And if you're doing it repeatedly, as he said in the video, you are what you repeatedly do. So if you're repeatedly doing the best you can possibly do, you're always going to be the best at what you're doing. So you're always going to be shining above everyone else, and shining in your own life, and putting yourself in the best position that you can always be in, which is a great thing to do. It's easy to be lazy, and it's easy to make up excuses. It's hard to put yourself in the mentality of actually putting the work in to be the best that you can be at all times. It takes hard work to be above average. Anyone can be average. It takes determination. It takes willing yourself on to be above average. But that is what you need to do constantly. Tell yourself that you can be above average. You can be the best. Being better isn't good enough. Being the best is what you want to be doing. Always, always, always do the best. However, in this point, there's always room for failure. In the jobs that you're doing, you won't become the best, most likely, without failing at some points leading up to that point. Again, I think I said this in the Rocky video that we did, but failure is a very, very key aspect to success. If you fail and you can get back up and you can grow from it and you can learn, that is what you need to do to succeed. The person who gets back up after failing is the person that succeeds the most. He was quite emotional about it because of the situation that he was in, but it's very, 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 very key is to keep standing, keep yourself going, no matter how rough the sea is, I believe is the quote they use in this. No matter how rough it is going, keep standing. Don't give up, stay with it, and you can become the best at what you're trying to do. You will succeed if you keep standing and you keep trying. And last but not least, guys, as he says in the video, ask yourself how you're living. If you can answer that question and you're honestly happy, then fair enough. If you can't answer that question happily, or if you're unhappy with the answer that you give to that question, change something. Impact your life in a positive way. Get up out of bed in the morning, make the bed, make that first move for the day. And it will probably help you because you've already done one thing. You've succeeded at doing one thing. Do it the best that you can. There you go. That's your starting point. Each day, get out of bed, make that bed the best way that you can make that bed, and you've already started to be on a good track. Anyways, guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If not, then I'm very, very sorry. As always, please leave a like and any comments in the subscriptions. Any comments in the boxes down below are always welcome.